Today I'm bringing you another game of the Japan versus Spain friendly match. And if you want to support content like this, make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and so on. And without too much further ado, let's have a look at the battle. The matchup is going to be between Samu and Kinugawa.
Yeah, absolutely. For those unfamiliar with the stakes of this is the World Cup 2024 winning team, Japan, versus the current champion of Spain. They were slated to go up against each other in the finals if Japan won, but they were narrowly defeated by Australia. So I think both of the teams wanting the chance to duke it out here. And really, two incredible players we're going to see duke it out in this individual game two of the set. We're going to see Samuel Pereira versus Kinugawa. Kinugawa, extremely well known for just a really strong run of tournaments. The top 8 at LAIC into Japan Nationals Championship, and then the LAIC champion most recently. Also a 2021 Japan Nationals top 4 and a 2020 Japan champion.
He last weekend participated in my event, or in our event, the Summit of Champions Winter Invitational, taking home that tournament there as well over Marco Fierro, over Pokey Alex, and over Wolfie. And it seems like we are heading into it right away. And, well, it is one of the teams that I knew was in his database.
Goodness.
He's bringing the muck.
Yeah, this is one of those times where I really wish I had the open team sheet, because there's such a variety of things that these Pokemon can do. We have the Smeargle, Muck, most likely the Power of Alchemy, plus the Moody combination that's able to stack up boosts over the course of the battle. Ogerpon, Rillaboom, King Gambit with the black classes, and then is that a Mirror Herb on the Flamigo versus the Tinglu, Dondozo, Qianpao, Dragonite, Gouging Fire, and Ogerpon Teomask form. So a little unconventional Teomask pick from Samu, but definitely being outshined a little bit by Kinugawa's a little bit less conventional picks.
Yeah, that should be a White Herb on the Flamigo, and yeah, I'm not gonna spoil too much, and like we'll see, or we'll learn together with you what this team can do and what it does. But yeah, that's quite exciting to see him bring that. And yeah, I'm also not gonna reveal like how high he lettered with his team, but it was absurd.
Okay, all right. I mean, it's not even a Focus Sash on this Smeargle. Marcus, you're really putting me up against the ringer here. I have no idea what's coming next, but you know, I will be experiencing it alongside the audience. Full surprises, but yeah, I guess trying to commentate this seriously on Samu's side, I guess you probably want to have some level of taunt. You need to try and navigate around knocking out this Smeargle in a way that you don't let it get off to the races too much with whatever options that you know it has, while also having some options to proactively deal with the Muck if that does come. But it is just going to be the Smeargle and the King Gambit led. Once again, I cannot read Japanese, so going to be even more in the dark. I'll maybe hope that Marcus shows some mercy there.
Yeah, we'll figure out some of the Moody boosts for sure. But yeah, I mean, can you imagine being in Samu's position right now? Your team is down, right? You're playing against an international champion, someone who's considered to be one of the best in the world. You're bringing this like Tinglu Dondozo team. You're like hoping for like some slow, methodical gameplay, and then you're seeing Smeargle and Muck in the preview. So then that's like the first, like, okay, what's happening here, right? But then the second, oh wait, what's going on here is when then your opponent does not lead with the Muck and the Smeargle, but instead it's going to be Smeargle and King Gambit. Like, what's going on with that, right?
Yeah, I think we saw the option for Fake Out from the Smeargle and a Terra Fairy, probably Swords Dance from the King Gambit. We're going to see that Terrestrialization coming out immediately from one of the players. I believe that is going to be Kinugawa. Yep, pretty safe defensive Terrestrialization, giving yourself a neutrality to the Heat Crash. I'm not exactly sure the damage that Heat Crash will be doing now. I want to say it's like 40 or 60. It's a pretty heavy Pokemon, King Gambit. As the Fake Out comes in, the Qianpao critically going to be breaking its Focus Sash, and then the Howl is going to come out, identifying, you know, Breaking Swipe is just going to give you a defensive boost regardless, and I think it's pretty likely you go for the defensive Terrestrialization here. Just wants to boost up that Qianpao to maybe do a little bit more damage with a Sacred Sword, or Ice Skull Crash in future turns, as the King Gambit does get set up with the Swords Dance. I don't see a pop-off from King Gambit, from Kinugawa, so that's pretty much all I'm going to be able to go off of for speed boosts. on the Smeargle, but yeah, interesting turn one.
Yeah, interesting turn one for sure. I think both of them just saying like, well, you know what, like we're not ready for the battle yet. Like we gotta get boosted first. With a Howl, usually of course with this Gouging Fire and Jianpao against like a more like balancy kind of team, you would be very, very afraid of facing Incineroar because well, all your boosts would be gone right away. But no Incineroar on the field or in the back for Kinugawa here with this team. So yeah, you will get to keep that Howl boost. You will also get to benefit from the Sword of Ruin. So I think this next turn we could see a lot of damage coming out from both sides. Also, the King Gambit now at the +2 and Sword of Ruin boosted, so it like feels like this Gouging Fire is feeling really threatened by a Sucker Punch, deciding to go for the Terra Fairy.
Yep, doesn't want to get knocked out by the Sucker Punch. We see Follow Me, one of the moves from the Smeargle, going to redirect any attention from that howled up Gouging Fire and the Jianpao. We see Heat Crash come out. Looks like even if it was a defense boost, going to be able to knock out after the Howl with the Sword of Ruin. Just deal such a huge damage dealing attack with such a heavy Gouging Fire, probably 120 base power, as we see the Icicle Crash following up, dealing a lot of damage, but critically does not get a knockout. However, Swords Dance 2 goes up, and we do know it is the Flamigo in the back. With that Co-Star ability, if he wants to bring it in here, will get a +4 boost to its attack stat in turn due to its partner's boost. But could also go to the Ogre Pawn. If you want to go for one more Follow Me, get another Swords Dance. Maybe +4 on the Flamigo isn't enough. Maybe you want the +6. We'll have to see, but yeah, definitely an option for the Flamigo to come out here.
Yeah, definitely indicating that yeah, he's willing to play this with a lot of physical attack, going for another Sword Stance. And well, now crucially, Terastallization has been committed by Samu. So yeah, now you can play the game knowing the types of your Pokemon for the remainder of the game. But well, bringing in the Ogre Pawn, well, what did you really achieve so far? I mean, you broke the Focus Sash on the Jianpao, you kind of forced your opponent to Terastallize, but now, where's the damage coming from? This Terra Fairy Gouging Fire, will that go down to a Sword of Ruin Sucker Punch? And now we're entering territory where, well, I really don't know some of these damage calcs, but I'm very, very sure that Kinugawa will know them, whereas Samu will probably not. So, or, I mean, how common is Kim Gambit? Maybe Samu is aware. But yeah, there it is, another Follow Me, like you pointed out, and let's see what happens this turn.
Yep, going to be a Follow Me and a Sucker Punch. Going for the Jianpao, and with the Black Glasses and the +4, able to take that knockout. So removing the Sword of Ruin boost on the Gouging Fire from this follow-up Heat Crash potentially, which could be important. Going to be close whether it knocks out, but yeah, with the Sword of Ruin, probably would have come pretty close, if not certainly knocking out there. But the Ogre Pawn able to survive one more turn, try to go for an attack on the next turn, or allow for another attack, another Swords Dance up. You could basically, yeah, able to go for a Follow Me, or probably can't get an attack off if the Gouging Fire just demands attention and Heat Crashes you. But yeah, at least buys a turn for the King Gambit to not take a Heat Crash.
Yeah, and if you just compare the face, or if you just look at Kinugawa's face while all of this is going on, like he's just like sitting there very stoically, like he knew that the Sucker Punch was going to knock out, and he also kind of knew that the attack from Gouging Fire was not going to KO Ogre Pawn, so he wasn't like popping off or anything, but he was like, well, yeah, this is exactly how I expected it to go. And I think this is, yeah, one of the very, very scary parts if you have one of those top players with a team that is a little bit more unconventional, but they know everything about it, or they know how they build it and why they build it in such a way. But with Dragonite joining the field, now there is faster priority than what King Gambit has to offer. So with Extreme Speed as a threat, however, no boosts on the Dragonite whatsoever. Yeah, it's going to be interesting seeing how Kinugawa wants to use this and whether the Flamigo will make an appearance.
Yep, we see the Extreme Speed coming out from the Dragonite. Most likely wouldn't have navigated around the Follow Me if Kinugawa had wanted to go for it, but the Heat Crash maybe would have been knockout into the King Gambit. It is a double up. Kinugawa, or Samu, just really wanting to leave the Ogre Pawn on the field, acknowledges it's not going to take a knockout this turn. Would prefer to just leave it on the field and not let a switch in come in. But yeah, interesting call. It does take a lot of Ivy Cudgel damage on the Gouging Fire. Might actually be in range of a Sucker Punch now.
Yeah, I think it's definitely in range of Sucker Punch now, and I think what Samu was trying to do here was just knocking out King Gambit no matter what, with the Extreme Speed, and then potentially with a follow-up, because yeah, I don't know if Extreme Speed is going to knock out King Gambit from this range, but now, yeah, there is the threat of Follow Me and Kowtow Cleave potentially. So yeah, it's quite difficult. You could also try to maybe protect and howl. That's what I'm thinking. Like protect the Dragon Knight and howl to boost up extreme speed further for upcoming turns and to try and play around Sucker Punch.
Nope, not going to see a Follow Me come out from the Ogre Pawn this turn. Just immediately switching out into the Flamigo. Maybe expects an extreme speed to knock out in future turns. Wants the Co-Star active, getting that attack boost. We see the Howl come out, like you said, Marcus, but no protect from the Dragon Knight. Let's see what this Dragon Knight goes for. If it's the Iron Head, oh yeah, it is the Iron Head. Goes for that, immediately takes the knockout on the King Gambit. That's definitely huge. A Sucker Punch would have done a lot of damage there. Didn't catch if it's an Inner Focus or a multi-skill Dragon Knight. If Inner Focus, Sucker Punch probably would have knocked out, and I imagine that's what Kinugawa might have gone for, but also could have just been reading the extreme speed, and went for the Kowtow Cleave to try and cover for that.
Yeah, very, very crucial turn, and getting it completely right, because let's just imagine that this was a Follow Me. Follow Me would have redirected the Iron Head, and then King Gambit would have been free to just go for a big knockout play, potentially. Now Kinugawa, of course, only has one choice, but can take his time to just come up with a way to navigate this. Once again, he's bringing the Flamigo, just like at LAIC, the star of the show, the co-star, one might even say. But now, together with his Ogre Pawn, and then there's still one more unrevealed Pokemon in the back waiting for Samu. It looks back against the wall for our LAIC champion, but if there is a +4 Flamigo, there might be a way.
Yeah, I think the problem at this point is you definitely have the damage to knock out the Ogre Pawn and the Flamigo with the +2 Gouging Fire and the +1 Dragonite. But yeah, and you have such an high attack boost on the Flamigo, but you don't have a speed boost, which is critical because the Dragonite, you'll probably outspeed the Dragonite, but the Gouging Fire is always going to outspeed you in subsequent turns and probably knock you out with the Heat Crash. We saw it's Mirror Herb and not Focus Sash on the Flamigo, which is an interesting choice. You have this Citrus Berry available, or rather you have Citrus Berry on the Smeargle, so you would have Focus Sash available, but would just prefer to get the White Herb, basically heal off any close combat drops. But yeah, we're going to see the Protect come out from the Ogre Pawn. No extreme speed going into that slot, as we see the Gouging Fire is actually going to target into it with the Heat Crash, so it could have been a pretty important read from Kinugawa there to try and get himself back in this game.
Yeah, it's the breaking swipe.
It is just really good coverage. Yeah.
Just going for the spread move here. Once the King Gambit is down, you're very, very safe to do that. And nicely identified here by Samu. I think that was a winning play always because with a double up into Flamigo. Maybe if you try to kind of follow me away the extreme speed, then you can still get an attack off. But yeah, the Gouging Fire, as you pointed out, with the speed boost, just too fast for the Flamigo. And so yeah, it seems like Samu is going to take the first game, knocking out Ogre Pawn. And yeah, Kinugawa does not feel very happy with how this game went naturally. But yeah, was able to show off some aspects, I would say, about the team. But yeah, losing game one here. And once again, it's Spain who takes the first game. But let's see if Samu can do what Tabu wasn't able to do in the first set and finish it off and equalize between Spain and Japan.
Yeah, I think it's really important that Samu was actually able to win that first game. A lot of the times when you play this, definitely a concept you've never seen before, but you're also not familiar with the spreads as a result of that, or the EV spreads, the training on the Pokemon. You're not going to be familiar with your calcs necessarily, and so there's some, maybe one or two turns where something doesn't go the way you exactly expect. As a result of that, you just narrowly lose the game one, but you can adjust in game two and game three to kind of overcome that experience gap. Actually wins game one, so has two more games to potentially learn from and actually, lose the game to potentially try and test something out to parse out whether there's a certain EV spread or, just something that would otherwise be an issue for his team and then not have to deal with that in game three, or could just go for the win, go for the same winning strategy in that game one and try and carry that into the game two. It did seem like a really convincing game one from Samu after the Iron Head and the King Gambit. After that was pretty much over. But like you pointed out, easily could have been a Follow Me from the Ogre Pawn that turn, in which point you probably just see a Kowtow Cleave take a knockout into one of the Pokemon, and then a pretty clean sweep with Flamigo after that.
Yeah, this crazy team from Kinugawa was not able to get the win in the first set. We'll get to talk about it a little bit more, but let's jump into team preview so you also get to see the beauty of this Alolan Muk on the stream right now. Let's see if it will make an appearance. It seems like Kinugawa is ready to bring it in this game. Whereas over on the other side, Samu's team, a little bit more conventional. But yeah, also some interesting choices, I would say, with the Ogre Pawn that fell out of fashion just a little bit. But yeah, now we're ready for game 2 between these two players. And once again, Samu is like, well, it worked the first time. Why not do it again? Gouging Fire and Qianpao. But here it comes, Smeargle and Alolan Muk.
Smeargle and Alolan Muk going against a Gouging Fire in the Qianpao. The fake out into the Qianpao last game did prove pretty critical in allowing for a Sucker Punch knockout into the Qianpao later in the game, just being a knockout through the Sucker Punch. Of course, the Smeargle has a number of other options. I believe that's a fighting move, and then I imagine that Spore, could be Spiky Shield, not entirely sure. But yeah, the Muk we also don't know the moveset on. Yeah, just going to be really interesting. I think the Howl setting up the physical attackers so that you have consistent damage later in the battle, and honestly, just early on in the battle, taking some quick KOs with your Qianpao's ice and fighting type moves, definitely critical as well. And I didn't see if Qianpao has Sacred Sword on this team, but that could be really critical if this is a, an evasion boosting minimize Muk.
Yeah, that certainly would help, just to also bypass the defense boosts. But once again, the game is going to start with a Howl. No fake out coming out this time from the Smeargle, so let's see what other tricks it has up its sleeve. Icicle Crash, that's one way to stop something from moving, but instead, well, no Focus Sash. We talked about this before. Of course, though, this is just what Kinugawa wants to see. The power of Alchemy is going to activate on this Alolan Muk. Now takes over the ability of Smeargle, and with the Poison Gas, I believe, getting the double poison here, double hits on Qianpao and Gouging Fire, and now we have a moody Alolan Muk on the field, and yeah, that's gonna be difficult to take out.
Yeah, able to get the double poison off, so we see why the fake out probably wouldn't have been as important, and this is where the detriment of it being in Japan is definitely, or in Japanese, is going to be to our detriment. Yeah, hopefully at some point Kinugawa actually checks his Muk stats and we can kind of refresh throughout the battle at that point. But yeah, we see in the back we have the Flamigo and the King Gambit. So Flamigo not, strictly a setup Pokemon, but kind of is, and needing its partners to set up and then set it up. And then the King Gambit offering those sword stances later on to the Flamigo. So this is going to be kind of interesting. I guess whichever Pokemon gets knocked out here, or in subsequent turns, the Flamigo is able to, most likely going to be able to gain a boost off of it. But yeah, what do you think of this position, Marcus?
Yeah, I think, well, you really want to knock out this Muk as quickly as possible, but at the same time, then, well, there's a King Gambit that just joined the field, and it showed in the previous game how much damage it can do with those black glasses and the boosted Sucker Punches. So if this is, for example, like a Sword Stance on the King Gambit, as you try to double target the Muk, which protects, that would be really, really bad. So having two threats at the same time, I think, is kind of the story of this team here by Kinugawa. He's gonna protect the King Gambit this turn. Let's see, though, another Howl coming up. This Qianpao will do some serious damage if it can land its mark, but it seems like the attack was going into King Gambit, so giving this Alolan Muk a free turn, and just a little bit of damage coming out with the Crunch. Dropping the defense on the Qianpao, that could come in handy later on if you're trying to pick it up with a Sucker Punch.
Yeah, it could make the future turns a little bit safer, where now a Sucker Punch might still not get a KO, but maybe puts it in 1 or 2 turns of poison, which you can easily just protect away. But yeah, this Gouging Fire and the Qianpao getting boosted up severely. They're both at +2 on the attacking stats, so Heat Crash most likely really should knock out the King Gambit if it doesn't go for a Terastallization, especially with the boost from the Sword of Ruin. So that Terastallization is more or less being forced out. But at that point, you can't Terastallize any of your other Pokemon, and an Icicle Crash plus Heat Crash will almost certainly knock out the King Gambit regardless if it goes for a Terastallization. So big decision here. If the Qianpao is Sacred Sword, chipping that Pokemon down so that you can actually take advantage of these defensive boosts that presumably the Muk is trying to stack up is going to be important. So could be a huge turn for Kinugawa here.
Yeah, it could absolutely be. Let's see, Sucker Punch coming out, predicting that this time around Gouging Fire was not going for a Howl, but instead it's going to be another attack, but boosted by the Howls and the Sword of Ruin. An easy knockout on King Gambit. Of course, the Muk is still sitting there. Let's see if Qianpao can get the hit off. It does connect with the Icicle Crash, and it's just another knockout. Wow. The Howl strategy definitely just working perfectly here for Samu. And yeah, this mug never really got going. We didn't see any sort of like minimize or anything like that. And now this poor Flamigo has to enter the field, but there is no ally that it can copy any boost from. So Co-Star will, yeah, not do anything. And well, you can try and maybe stall out some poison turns, but there's gonna be more Pokemon waiting in the back for Samu, and it feels like he has this in the back.
Yeah, absolutely. No accomplice for the Flamigo to copy the stat boost of, so really not able to get anything going here as, yeah, that +2 Ice Skull Crash just surprisingly knocking out the Lowland Muck in one hit and just really making that a convincing 4-0 for Samu there. Yeah, I mean, the strategy from the Muck was really cool. I think if it had gotten, I don't know if it has minimized, I imagine it probably would have gone for it on the turn that it went for Crunch otherwise to make the to make the Ice Skull Crash a little bit less likely to actually connect, maybe force a Sacred Sword coming up from the Chin Pao. But yeah, really interesting strategy from Kinugawa there. It did look like the Howl plus Chin Pao proved to be pretty effective in that game too, although in the game one, absolutely could have gone either way based off of some defensive and offensive reads around the Ogerpon's Follow Me.
Yeah, wow, what a team coming out from our LAIC reigning champion, Kinugawa. Well, it didn't work out this time. Well, I mean, if you want to kind of come up with a new strategy with something new, then you have to fail sometimes. And I think this can be one of those battles where, yeah, he will definitely go back to the drawing board with this idea. And, yeah, we'll come up with something that I'm sure of. But Samu, very, very dominant play there. Not getting caught off guard too much by this unconventional strategy from his opponent. And instead secures the victory for Spain. If you want to see more content like that, make sure to subscribe, leave a like, comment, you know the drill, and see you in the next one.